Hello, I'm going to be going over how to do vibrato on the cello. So cello and bass vibrato is very similar to one another. You guys will be doing arm vibrato. Violin and viola there's a couple options of what they can do, but they never will do just arm vibrato because their instruments are smaller, so they need a smaller vibrato. You guys have bigger instruments, so you need a larger, wider vibrato. So that means you'll use more of your arm. Okay, so first step, take your thumbprint, and you're going to put it in the curve of the neck. Okay, it's not poking around the other side. Okay, so it's going to be in the curve of the neck. Then you're going to take whichever finger you want, probably not your pinky. I usually start with second finger. You're just going to kind of flop it down. If it happens to be on a note, cool. If it's more in between tapes or not a true like in tune note, that doesn't really matter right now. Okay, so I'm flopping it down on the A string. You can do it on the D string, or I probably wouldn't necessarily start all the way on C, but just for starters, I'd probably start on A or D string. So you flop your finger down kind of where it naturally is. Okay, make sure your elbow is up. If your elbow is down, you're going to start doing some weird kind of vibrato. Okay. So elbow should be up, just like it should always be. And then you're going to have this part of your hand underneath your pinky is going to touch the shoulder of your instrument. Okay? So it starts there, and once your hand is like that, you might have to slide your finger to a slightly different spot. Okay? So you start with your hand like that, and then you're going to rotate from your forearm and have your hand touch, not touch, touch, not touch, touch, not touch. Okay, and this is the basis of the motion. Okay, so this is pretty much it. And then obviously you're gonna speed it up, and it's gonna get smaller and stuff like that. Okay, so the motion is like turning a doorknob, or I don't have my Fitbit on right now, but if you had a watch on, it'd be like you're turning your arm to see what time it is. Okay. For my Fitbit, it's really handy because once I turn, like the screen turns on, so I can be like, oh, yep, I'm rotating my arm like I should. Okay, but it's charging, so I don't have it on. Okay, so it's going to be that rotating. Okay, it's not going to be like this. Okay, that's like all on your wrist. That's like a violin viola vibrato, and it's going to sound a little strange on a cello. It's going to be too narrow, so it's going to sound like you had too much caffeine or something if you tried to use that kind of vibrato on the cello. So the motion's going to be a bit bigger, okay? And you can do this on each of your strings if you want to. Well, you should eventually. Okay, but when you're first starting, you can just pick one string. You can just pick one finger, okay? And you'll want to practice with all of your fingers. And in theory, the motion shouldn't really change depending what finger you're on, because the motion is really happening here, not in the finger. Okay? So you can start with one finger and then, change it up when you feel like it's pretty consistent. Now, once you feel like you have a consistent motion, you're going to want to test it with the bow to make sure you actually hear a change in the pitch, because that's the whole point of what vibrato is, right? So you're going to start, with your hand touching the side. There you go. So you want to make sure you hear that for whichever string you're on. If you don't hear a change in the pitch when you add the bow, then you're not doing the motion right. Okay? There should be a pretty obvious change in pitch. Okay, so if you don't hear it, or it's like really subtle and it's not always easy to hear, then you need to reevaluate the motion that you're doing and make sure that you're doing it right, because otherwise you're going to put a lot of effort and a lot of work into trying to do the motion with no result, and that's going to be frustrating. So you want to do some slow practice. What I recommend is, I had a metronome when I started learning how to do vibrato. I had a metronome set to 50, and every click was a quarter note at first, so it'd be super slow. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then eighth notes, and then triplets, triplet, 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 and then 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and then sextuplets, which is like two groups of triplets, going triplet, 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 and then you just speed it up a little bit more, and then you have vibrato. Okay, so it takes time and practice. Okay, so what I recommend is every time that you practice, you start, after you tune and stuff, you start with vibrato and you do like about a minute or so of just trying to make sure that motion's really good, and then do your other stuff that you're planning on doing, and then end your practice session with another minute of vibrato. Okay, because if you do that, then you're going to be practicing vibrato twice within that one practice session. And if you practice regularly, you're going to get a lot of consistent practicing with it, and it's going to get better a lot faster. Okay? If you never practice vibrato, it's never going to get past like the beginning stages, and you're going to be stuck in this very big wobble kind of vibrato, and it's not going to be appropriate to actually use in music. So we want to make sure we are practicing on a regular basis in general, and then practicing vibrato every time that we practice. Okay? Good luck, and make pretty music.